So, this morning's breaking news: Arsenal hero, legend of the Invincibles, Viera, has been sacked on St. Patrick's Day. Now, it probably isn't going to come as a surprise to most people who've been watching Palace. They have been dreadful in 2023. They failed to win a single game, failed to score more than one goal. And in fact, up until Wednesday night's game against Brighton, they had failed to have a shot on target in 3 matches. So this has been a year to forget for Palace fans who've had plenty of those. Patrick Viera probably had to go based on that. I will just say, though, that the timing of this still seems strange to me, given that so far in 2023, whilst it's been dreadful, they have faced their hardest games. They have played Manchester United, Tottenham, Chelsea, Newcastle, Brighton, Brentford, Liverpool, Villa and City. And their upcoming games are a home tie to Leicester, away games Leeds and Southampton, and following that a home tie against Everton. So if they were ever going to get out of this slump, I'm not, of course, counting the Sunday's match against Arsenal. This is just typical, isn't it? Arsenal yet again facing a team who make a change before playing us. That said, I don't really know how having no manager in place, and Simon Parish, who announced the decision to sack Viera, has said that they're not likely to have anyone in place for the next couple of weeks, so after the international break. It's hard for me to see that, unless you really think Viera was going to throw the game on Sunday just to do us a favour, which I don't think anyone really believes would have been nice. It's hard to imagine how not having a manager makes more sense than having a manager. Now, look, Palace have always been realistically a one-man team. Zaha, arguably the only player in that side who would get into most Premier League teams, and even some of the top teams in Europe have courted him. Around him, well, we loaned them Sambi Lokonga. He played on Wednesday, was dreadful, and it looks like any hopes we had that Patrick Viera would be able to instill in him some of that grit and midfield determination that's been missing, well, that's gone now. Around him, other players, Eze, Ayew, Klein, that have in the past shown promise, just have not been there. I don't know if Patrick lost the dressing room, but I will say this: with the dressing room that he lost, you're probably better off losing them and doing a Nottingham Forest and starting again, because there just isn't anyone in there that looks like it's going to be ready for a championship title, let alone Premier League survival. I have done a prediction on the league this season, including all the teams and who I think will get relegated, and I have to say, I was thinking it was close for Palace anyway. But I don't see how this is better. The only way this is better for them now, realistically, is if the person who comes in performs a bit of a miracle. At the moment, depending on where you look, joint favourites to take over are Roy Hodgson or Michael Carrick. Now, Roy Hodgson certainly steadied the ship, but again, with the players available to him, it's not really clear what he's going to do. It is possible that Ralph Hasenhüttl or Rafa Benitez may take this job, but I think you'd have to be a little bit mad. This is not just about the weakness of the squad and the precarious position they're in. This is also about, Simon Parish and the Crystal Palace board failing to invest in this team. Only 2 teams have spent less money than Crystal Palace. One is Southampton, and no one would swap places with them right now. And the other one is Leicester, and they obviously started from a much loftier position. Look at the bottom 3 teams in the league at the moment. Leeds, Bournemouth and Southampton, what do they all have in common? They sacked their managers. I think it's knee-jerk, and I think he may be bowing to the pressure. It's frustrating because against Brighton, for the first 15 minutes, Palace looked like they had their spark back, and Brighton scored in the first half with pretty much their only attack, and from then on it all crumbled again. Something was desperately wrong. Something needed changing. I think investment is needed. I think the other 2 people have been mentioned to take over Palace, Lampard and Gerrard. So I don't know. What would you have done? Would you have kept with Patrick? Would you have gotten rid of him a while ago? I know that the fans were singing for Patrick out at the end of Wednesday's game, but I mean, who can blame Palace fans for their frustration and voicing it? I think there is a fundamental problem at Crystal Palace that certainly bringing in someone like Roy Hodgson, Lampard or Gerrard is not necessarily going to fix. And I would have liked to have seen Patrick given a bit longer. I hope his next move in management is a little bit of an easier one, less of a mission impossible than the Palace job. What it means for us, as I said, look, Sunday's game against Palace is going to have a lot more to do with the 120 minutes worth of fatiguing football that we played against Sporting Lisbon last night, any injuries we might have picked up, and the general morale in the camp. That said, they have always come back from defeat, bounced back from defeat, I should say, with great performances. So hopefully we will turn up on Sunday and absolutely batter a terrible Palace side. Hopefully there's no manager bounce to worry about. We'll see. Anyway, just breaking news on Patrick Viera. Sad for him, and I hope that his next managerial position is less of a mission impossible. Lots of love.